Tuesday night inside the pigskin. I'm the Motor City Madmouth. You know it. We got a 4-person crew, and it is going to be like Jimmy Walker would say, dynamite. Oh my God, where does he get this energy? Well, a little bit of caffeine doesn't hurt either. That's beside the point. But anyways, please be brought by my regulars here, Stephen Reichel, our new famed writer. Good stuff. Doing good articles. He definitely knows what his favorite baseball team is, right, Stephen?
Always, always.
And Ben Troop. Great stuff. Hello, Eddie Prather. How are you tonight, my friend? Ben,
Listen,
glad to have you back on.
I'm always doing good. Always doing good.
Now we have the Rolls Royce. She knows who he is. Knows
Oh,
who she
thanks.
is.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll get it.
Thank
So,
you.
so anyways, we got a lot to get to tonight. Show NFL draft fallout. But before we go to the regular topics, one thing that really intrigued me during the draft is that there were 20 selections made from an international game sites. And one of the lead-ins to this whole thing is that Melbourne is going to host the first ever NFL game in Australia. So, like I said, 20 selections were made at international sites. What are your thoughts, Ben, about the fact that they'll be going down under to play football this season?
It just shows that the game of football is growing at a crazy rate. I mean, when people kept talking about how do you grow the National Football League when they used to have NFL Europe, and that did well until it fell flat, and then you start saying, look, if I'm one of these international cities, and I'm saying to myself, I want to be able to get an NFL game. I mean, you talk about Brazil, now you talk about Melbourne. I mean, who's going to be next? But the popularity of the game is huge because you get, number one, it helps the players because they kind of get an extra bye week whenever you get to go overseas. But it shows how much love the NFL game gets overseas. So, yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. Right now, I remember when they used to do one, they did do like 2 or 3 in 1 year. Sorry, I know that Mr. Khan, the owner of the Jaguars, he kind of want to have a team overseas. That's not going to happen. But I think the NFL is doing an incredible job of growing the game overseas. This year it's going to be in Melbourne. Who knows who knows how far you can go, especially when you end up getting like 11 days off after you do play an international game.
What do you think, Steven?
I mean, how do you not love it, dude? Like, Australia, you're getting the picks now announced in different locations and things of that nature. It's internationally, it's international kind of growth is kind of unmatched compared to the other 4 major sports. So you got to love it. Hopefully Australia is going to be rocking with some Eagles green. I'll say that.
Okay, Katie.
They're growing exponentially however they can, whether it be these international games, whether it be the different streaming platforms that they subscribe to. They are growing exponentially, and they're doing it better than any of the other major sports. Let's face it, NFL is the king of all the sports.
Well, look, I tell you, Australia is a market down there. I'd love to, if I had enough money, I'd be down there by now with you, Candy. But I don't. I'll settle on Europe later in the year. Then Steve Reichel and Ben Troop get prime time. That's okay. It's not the worst thing in the world. But no, I'm glad to taking the trip down to Australia. We all know about the Australian Open being big down there. We know about Australian rules football, rugby. I think that's out there. I'm not sure about some of those other sports. Oh, gosh, forget it. The NFL will do well down in Melbourne for sure. All right, well, we have some pretty good activity in the chat room. We're going to take every one of those topics, but the one I'm going to go to next, actually, Candy, put it up on the board with Eddie Prather. I'm glad Xavier is with Cam. So the way I look at it is, here you go. So let's go ahead and put that out. Is there ever been all right, I'm glad Xavier is with Cam. So to no secret of mine, I knew once Cam Ward was drafted that Xavier Restrepo would join him, and obviously X went undrafted. He got $225K just to join the Titans. We won't get into salaries tonight. I'm not really particularly worried about it. But again, one of the biggest undrafted free agents that I've ever seen do pretty well is a guy by the name of Brandon Powell. who was drafted by the Lions and was subsequently teamed with Matthew Stafford, and they both won the Super Bowl together. So these hidden gems, as far as I'm concerned, to me, are unbelievable. And I tell you what, Candy and I both saw Xavier Restrepo eclipse every record in the Miami Hurricanes book. So what do you think? Xavier and Cam, you know full well that, to me, that was just unbelievable that they did end up getting reunited. I just think it's awesome. What about you, Ben?
Oh yeah, I mean, I appreciate Cam just going to bat for his receiver, telling the front office, listen, go ahead and get this man. I know who he is. I know how he plays. I know how he goes out there and attacks the game. $225,000 for undrafted free agent. Times have definitely changed. I mean, $225,000 used to be the salaries for certain players. I mean, when you talk about the National Football League, but sometimes the NFL gets it wrong. I mean, I get the young man didn't have the fastest 40, but I thought production is what mattered. I mean, when you start talking about receivers that came through to you, I mean, you talk about Michael Irvin, I mean, you talk about Reggie Wayne, talk about Andre Johnson and Santana Moss. He eclipsed all those guys. So I don't understand why he went undrafted, but I think he's going to definitely go to get in training camp and fight for a spot on that roster. And he got a quarterback in Cam Ward, who they obviously care about, you know who he wants on the roster. So yeah, Traylon Burks is the guy that got drafted there. I want to say 4 years ago out of Arkansas, first round pick, hasn't really lived up to the billing. You know, Calvin Ridley's going to be there. You know that DK, out of Florida is going to be there. You know that Tyler Lockett is going to be there. I mean, Xavier's going to have a shot to make the team. And when he does, not if he does, look out, because I think that this AFC South is going to be loaded with talent top to bottom. I know it's all about Travis Hunter, but Xavier is a guy that's he has a boulder on his shoulder. He still's not understand. He don't think none of these receivers are better than him. I don't care if it's Ted McMillan. I don't care if it's Isaiah Bond, Matt Golden. That guy's going to come in ready to play. I think the only way you can get a Gator to root for a Hurricane is put him in the same two-tone blue Titans uniform. So I guess I got to root for them Canes as long as they repping my Titans.
Oh, well, there you go. So let's put a couple of comments in the chat room here. I'm not happy that Dallas didn't take Xavier in the fifth. I agree with you there, Eddie. You're right on target. The Cowboys could have used them, and they could have gotten them at a bargain price. Dan Pensman talks about the fact that, agree with Eddie, that he should have been a second or third round pick. I thought he was going to be a third day pick, a little undrafted. So some excellent points in the chat room. We'll turn over to Steven.
I mean, you gotta love it, man. When you're a number one overall pick, you're a quarterback, and then your team takes one of your favorite targets and drafts them in the later rounds to kind of you want to have that connection, that somebody that you have that continuity with when you're making your transition over to the pro game. So I would say as Scott already said, like he already knew this was coming. It's one of those things you have to say sometimes not everything's guaranteed, but this is one of the times that you got to be like, hey, man, at least they're trying to keep it right, keeping this kid with somebody he knows he can trust and look for and find. So looking forward to big things from Cam Ward and for Xavier as well.
Candy and I saw them all too well. What's your take on this, Candy?
So, Eddie, I'm going to disagree with you. I'm glad that Dallas didn't take Xavier, because Dallas is a dysfunctional organization right now. I think they're gonna tank this year and not do well. And so I really appreciate him going with the Titans. Yes, he's undrafted, but he's still making $225,000. That's not a small paycheck, maybe comparatively, but there are some of those even drafted quarterbacks that are going to be making not as much. I saw a stat that said, who was it? I think it was the Texas quarterback. If he went back, he was thinking about going back and playing in college, and he had a deal for $8 million. I think.
Yeah, Quinn Ewers, yes.
Oh man, yeah. He got drafted at the bottom of the draft, and he's literally losing like $7 to $8 million per year.
Making less than $1 million in the NFL, but he would have made $8 million in NIL money.
Unbelievable. Yeah.
I still think the cool story is that the Commanders brought in Sean Taylor's little brother to try to make the team too. So it's like you're seeing a lot of some of this cool stuff. Like I said, there's a lot of digesting over 3 days of craziness for the NFL draft. But that's one of the cooler stories because obviously we got some nonsense we'll eventually have to get to tonight.
All right, well, just really happy birthday to Brian Pettit. And by the way, well, for whatever it's worth, Penman's the Banana Ball sold out at Clemson for 81,000 plus last weekend. Well, they sell it everywhere. So, but it's worth mentioning anyways because he put it in the chat and it was kosher. So with that said, I'm just glad that the two are reunited. To me, it was an absolute no-brainer is what it really was to see that happen. And I think the Titans will be way better for it. Yeah, I was expecting it a little bit to me. In the draft, yeah, but you know what? It wasn't, but that was one of the first signings that was actually listed there. And another thing too that's worth noting: another Miami Hurricane, Jacoby George, an undrafted guy, went over to Carolina. So how about that, Jacoby George? And we don't have a list of all the Hurricanes picks yet, but the 2 undrafted picks. Think about it, man. Jacoby George could be a real sleeper for Carolina, which is known for having good running backs. And then you have Xavier Restrepo going to Tennessee. I mean, I'm telling you, these undrafted guys come out of nowhere, and there were a lot of good ones. I'm not going to get into that tonight. I'll research it more probably next week about the ones, but these are the 2 that really visually stand out in my mind. So, all right, one of the big stories of that day happened to be the fact that the Jacksonville Jaguars traded up to get Travis Hunter, and let's face it, Will Howard, I believe, goes to Cleveland, not the worst thing in the world, and they end up getting a first rounder out of it. So, Steve, what's your take on that?
I mean, listen, we already talked about it the prior week when we had Travis on here. Jacksonville needs a lot of help. We know everyone. We were talking about if that young front office can get it done. Listen, they identified who they wanted. A guy that can make a difference on both sides of the ball. Travis Hunter is one of those things. The funny thing is I thought that Jacksonville might take Shedeur as he was falling just to sit there and so they can run long-haired Lawrence out and have Travis and his buddy there cause some ruckus down there in Florida and things of that nature. But yeah, I like that move from Jacksonville. I thought Ben's Falcons did a great job, but I don't like the fact that they gave them next year's first round to the Rams.
Right.
I think the Rams are the sleeper now to go get Arch Manning next season.
Well, you have to understand one thing before I turn over to Ben. Cleveland's trying to recover that draft capital that they lost in the Deshaun Watson trade, and the fact that they were able to at least get a first rounder isn't that bad either. With that said, I'm going to turn over to Ben.
Man, let me tell you something. That new general manager for the Jacksonville Jaguars, he got a gift. I mean, I thought Cleveland was going to stick at 2 and go ahead and get Travis Hunter. When they traded, I knew exactly who they were getting. But Travis Hunter, I mean, if he's going to be a starting receiver, you talking about Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown, who they just got in a 1-year deal from Washington. That offense could be scared. Now, I like that. You still got long-haired Lawrence. You still got to deal with him. You don't know who he's going to decide to be. But Travis Hunter does 2 things. He makes your offense better. He makes your defense better, right? And he puts people in the seats. People they're going to want to see this young man. And that's a big part of being a box office player is, can he sell tickets? Yeah, I don't know who's going to be the number 1 selling jersey. I know who's going to be in the top 5. Travis Hunter is going to be top 5 best-selling jerseys in the league next year. And the young man's originally from Florida, moved to Atlanta. He's what you want in a franchise player. He gets it. He understands what his celebrity means. He understands what he means to the team. But this is the AFC South. Cam Ward, CJ Stroud, Travis Hunter. It's gotten a lot of star power really, really fast. I don't know who's going to be the best team in this division. Obviously, I want to be my two-tone blue boys. But when Travis Hunter went to Jacksonville, I'm like, what are y'all doing, Cleveland? Like, I mean, I get it. Cleveland ended up getting Mason Graham, out of Michigan. But you're going to give away Travis Hunter for a D tackle from Michigan? Listen, this is why I talk about sports. They don't pay me to get these players. But I got a 34-year-old general manager, just became a new general manager, youngest general manager in the NFL. And in my first draft, I get a trade from the Cleveland Browns, and I get Travis Hunter. Yep, sounds like I'm making my money. Sounds like it's looking good right now. Mr. Khan was all smiles when Travis Hunter got there. But, Miss Candy, Steve, listen, let me tell you guys something. It don't mean nothing right now. Everything is good because the games don't count. When the games count is when we're going to see what number 12 for Jacksonville is going to be a problem, whether it's on offense or defense. If he starts on offense, he'll be the slot corner on defense. If he starts on defense, he will be the third. He will be your third receiver on offense. Either way, Liam Cohen, the head coach of Jacksonville, is the only coach in the NFL that's willing to let the young man play both sides of the ball. I love it. I don't know if he's going to be good or great on either way, but the fact they're going to let him play both ways, it's all good now. But when that contract come up, do you pay him as a receiver or a corner? If he plays both, you're going to have to pay him for both. We'll see.
That is so true. Before I turn over to Miss Candy, though, I'll never forget the time when I wrote a story and I sent it over to my good friend Dan Edwards, who's the PR guy who is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, by the way, for his work. I said the Jaguars should have landed Tim Tebow as a quarterback, if for no other reason. Tim Tebow gets a chance to at least play there, and he would put people in the seats as well. And that's exactly what you just made me think of here there, Ben. Now we'll turn over to Miss Candy. Go ahead, Candy.
So, Scott, you and I have covered Jacksonville for years. Now, it's been a couple years, but we had covered them for years. I remember going to the games and them putting tarps up on the upper deck of the stadium because they weren't drawing fans in and they didn't want it to look bad. They go overseas so they can draw fans over there. Now, like you said, Ben, with Travis, you're not going to have the problems. You're going to have the fans in the stands. Yes, you're going to have jersey sales. You're going to have, they're building a new stadium. They're renovating. They're doing a lot of stuff in Jacksonville. So kudos to them. And kudos for a young GM, young coach to come in and now put your stamp. And here you put your mark on it and shoot for the fences. I'd rather shoot for the fences and miss than not take the chance at all.
Right.
So kudos to them for that.
I agree. That's a good point, Candy. All right, well, what we're going to do now is examine the Cleveland quarterback room. But before I do that, I want to put Ralph Williams' point on there. This is pretty interesting. Cleveland can have the Sanders drama. Well, they're going to get it, so we'll see what happens there. So with that said, let's talk about the Cleveland quarterback room for just a moment, and that being the fact that you're going to have, so far it's got 5 people. Which one will we see in the regular season? You got Joe Flacco, who I believe is definitely going to be there. Kenny Pickett, now I hear that he could be the odd one out, unless he signs an extension, and all it did was cost him a 5th-round pick anyways. We know Deshaun Watson is going to be a goner sooner or later. Dylan Gabriel, I think, could be a good sleeper in this pick, and we know about Shedeur Sanders. So, with that said, Ben, who comes out of this and who we're going to see on the active roster?
I mean, Joe Flacco definitely understands how to win in Cleveland. I mean, you don't have a guy that's, I think he's 40 years old now that's still in the league who don't understand how to win. Kenny Pickett, I mean, I could see him potentially being the odd man out. I mean, he was a part of a trade that Myles Garrett said he either want a Super Bowl winning quarterback or a Super Bowl contending quarterback. Well, Kenny Pickett is a Super Bowl winner, even though he was the backup. Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders are going to be there for 2 reasons. One, the guy's going to end up being starting. The other guy's going to be a tradable piece in the future. You go back to that RG3 Kirk Cousins draft. They got RG3 in the 1st round. They got I think they got Kirk Cousins in the 4th round. I want to have my future already on the roster. That leaves Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson, since he's been a Cleveland Brown, has played in all of 16 games. That's it. 16. You don't remember him? I don't remember him. I don't remember Deshaun Watson ever being out there in Cleveland. If he was, it was abysmal at best. So I don't think he's going to be. Whenever a quarterback who hasn't played well makes comeback videos, I hear the noise. Stop it. Stop it, Deshaun. You got $230 million and you hadn't played football in a year and a half. I don't want to hear that nonsense. I think it's going to be Joe. I think it's going to be Dylan Gabriel, and I think it's going to be Shedeur Sanders. I think Kenny Pickett, he'll end up on another team. It just won't be with the Cleveland Browns. And Deshaun Watson's going to be the odd man out. They're not going to keep 4. They'll definitely keep 3. And I just think that when you talk about this quarterback room, Joe Flacco is still finding ways to be in the National Football League because he understands how to play the quarterback position. But if you are a Cleveland Brown, they want Shedeur Sanders playing right now, because you know what Shedeur Sanders does? He sells tickets. He's going to sell tickets. I don't know what happened. I know we'll probably get to him, but Shedeur Sanders sell tickets. You know who's the most confused? Dylan Gabriel was like, why would they get Shedeur? I mean, they got me in the 3rd round. Why would they get Shedeur in the 5th round? Because I'd rather have 2. One of you guys are going to pan out. I don't know who's going to play first. Probably going to be Dylan because of where he got drafted. But Houston has found a way to be interesting. They're not going to win no games, people. They ain't going to win no games. But they're going to be very, very interesting in the quarterback room. And like I said, when it comes to Cleveland, man, they traded Travis Hunter to Jacksonville. They get 2 quarterbacks in the same draft. Joe Flacco, I mean, me and Joe Flacco, we would have went to high school together. I'm a couple of years older than him, but I would have went to the same high school at the same time with Joe Flacco. And Deshaun Watson really think people want to watch him play football. We don't, Deshaun. We love you, but we don't want to watch you play football. Hell, you don't want to watch you play football. You ain't played. I played more football the last 3 years than you, and I've been retired since 2009. So I think it's gonna be fun to watch. Thank God that Hard Knocks is not making us watch this, though. I'm so happy they send the Cleveland Browns on Hard Knocks. Don't do that, though. Don't do that to my cable provider. Don't do that to my eyes and my ears. I don't want to see that nonsense. I will check it out on YouTube, but I'm happy that the world does not have to watch this monstrosity. It is the Cleveland Browns. They will be bottom feeders, but they do got Shedeur. They do got Dylan Gabriel. They do got Myles Garrett. And outside of that, I couldn't tell you nobody else who played. Denzel Ward, and I couldn't tell you nobody else who played for Cleveland.
Hey, Steve, I'll be curious to see what the over-under is in terms of his reel off of that comment. I'll tell you one thing, though. He hit a bullseye in a couple areas. Number one, the word surplus is a good word to describe what the Browns have. And number 2, the RG3 and Kirk Cousins comment is a bullseye. It really is. You want to have a surplus at that position and a tradable commodity. And Ben Troop could not have done a better job than nailing it. So what we'll do here, Ben, we'll keep you posted on what your reel is going to look like in your short, because you just nailed this thing. You cannot hit a bigger bullseye what this guy just did, which is why we have him on our team, because this guy is running the rock and he's hitting pay dirt with every comment that he has, including that hat. I love that hat. All right, Steven, go ahead.
I mean, listen, Ben hit a home run on that one. Like, listen, the quarterback situation in Cleveland has been terrible, abysmal, garbage, lackluster. Every other word you can throw in there. When you have guys that literally have the entire backs of their jerseys with the graveyard of quarterbacks past running down all aspects of it to the point there ain't no numbers on it no more. That's how bad quarterbacking has been in Cleveland. So yeah, they're gonna take a guy in the 3rd round. Shedeur's still sitting there. Ben's absolutely right. He's gonna bring more fans and more eyeballs onto that quarterback room. Odd man out's without a doubt Deshaun Watson, without a doubt, regardless of what cap implications are and things of that nature. I think Flacco is there to have a legit competition with Kenny Pickett. The question is Gabriel going to be a guy that's going to be practice squad, or is Shedeur Sanders going to be the guy that's going to be put on the practice squad? As Ben said, they're not going to keep more than 3. There's no way. 9 times out of 10, your NFL roster, it's 3, and it's going to be a combination of Flacco Pickett Sanders, or Flacco Pickett Gabriel, but I don't see them drafting Sanders and then not keeping him on the roster. So if I'm Gabriel, I'm putting my feelers around and making sure that when I get my time to put in there, I put some good tape on there, so I wind up on another team, or on someone else's practice squad or something of that nature. I guess I'm hoping that we get the best out of Shedeur Sanders moving forward. I think he has the that mental toughness where he's going to be like, well, if you guys doubt me, you think this of me, that of me, I'm going to go show you what I can do on the field. We'll see how that all plays out, but it's in these young kids' hands. I think your first two is going to be Flacco and Pickett regardless, but we'll see who's going to be doing what and fighting for that third spot.
All right. Candy?
So I agree, Eddie. Watson's going to go on the IR after re-rupturing his Achilles back in January. So he's a non-factor. Joe Flacco's got the job. Joe Flacco, I think the others are going to sit behind him. They're going to learn from him. One of the things we talked about the Browns and their quarterback room. You know how many quarterbacks the Browns have started since 1990? 40. 40 quarterbacks. The most in the league. 40 quarterbacks. So does it only make sense that they have 5 on the roster right now? I mean, come on. They're not going to keep 5. Let's be honest. We all know that. Flacco's going to start. The other Deshaun's going to go on the IR. Now, will one of them, Gabriel or Sanders, be on the practice squad? Honestly, I think quarterbacks should sit a year out, whether they're on the practice squad or not. They should be sitting because I think they really develop. There is a big change from college to NFLs. Reads are different. Defenses are different. They play faster. I think to develop a good quarterback, to sustain a good quarterback for the future, the best thing for them is to sit them.
Yeah, but here's your problem with that one, though. Let's just say hypothetically one of those two guys gets cut. I don't think Shedeur will. I doubt Dylan Gabriel will. But think about it. Somebody could pick those guys up too, and then what do you have? So now what do you do at that point? Do you trade Kenny Pickett? So I knew you were going to say that 40 quarterbacks. That's why I said I got to leave it to her because she's bound to come up with another. She's bound to come up. And that's why I left it alone and kept quiet. So I know Candy well. We all know that she's a Rolls Royce right there. Ben, Miss Candy did it again. Now, as far as the quarterback situation in Minnesota, I believe they got Sam Corral. Is that correct? In a trade. So he'll back up J.J. McCarthy. And another move that was made, too, is you have Jalen Milroe was actually drafted by, I think, Seattle, and that completes the Geno Smith trade as well. So now, as it turns out, you got Jalen Milroe for Geno Smith. So you talk about how the quarterback relay changes. So great points all the way around, Candy. That's why this is really an interesting scenario with figures to play out. Let's go back to the chat room. Some interesting comments. I love the way the flow of the show is going. So we'll just see if we can go. Yeah. So Brett. So you're gonna have Sam Corral, Eddie, in the quarterback room for Minnesota, and that's why they added the other quarterback. Flacco should, and Eddie Prather says Flacco should start the season, and whoever looks the best between Pickett, Gabriel, and Sanders during training camp should be the backup. Well, that's usually how it all plays out, but I'm glad that you mentioned that. Anyway, Cyberuski is kind enough to join the chat, so we'll go ahead. And we appreciate that.
Ben a chance to answer Mr. Truck's question.
Absolutely. I just wanted to make sure that we get these people because I know Ben's going to stack the deck. Go ahead, Ben.
What did Chuck say?
We give him a chance to go ahead and answer.
Ben from Augusta, Georgia, Butler High School.
That's me. Yep. Went to Butler High School, graduated in 2000. Yep. I mean, originally from Swainsboro, went to Augusta High School. I went to Wilkinson Gardens Elementary, Murphy Middle School, Seagull Middle School, and Butler Comprehensive High School, graduating class of 2000. Didn't win no games in high school, but I was still blessed enough to go to the University of Florida. So yes, that is me all the way. That is me 100.
Say a special hello to Mickey Delaney. Thanks a lot for being in here. I already talked about Eddie stuff, and of course, Gamecock. Glad to have you on board. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. You can see these guys every week. So, Gamecock, Chuck, I'm so glad to have you on. And this is the team that you can count on every week, and we try to add other people along the road as well. Hope we've got to everything, and I know we're going to certainly get to more. But I know the one thing we're going to get to right now is that thing called the station break, and we know that. Has everybody answered on this one before we go to station break? Everybody? Okay. So we know the obvious next move is Miss Candy gets to do the station break. And go ahead, Miss Candy, while we've sorted out in the second half of the show.
The South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. He talks about his 40-plus years in the industry and how it has evolved and changed. Old school media versus new school media. Get your copy today. You'll see a picture of young Scott with a young Muhammad Ali. So go get the book so you can see the pic. And there's more in there, but I'm not going to tell you what they are. Go get the book. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. Get your copy today. There's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there's a link to our merchandise store, as well as a plethora of great content. So go check it out. If you see that red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family. We have some great content on the South Florida Tribune's YouTube page. If you like to listen to podcasts, we're also wherever you get your podcasts. So you can listen to us or you can watch us, whichever you prefer. If you want to advertise, call Scott 954-304-4941. And if you want to be a guest or have topic ideas or show ideas, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Scott?
Okay, so back to the chat room real quick. Eddie Prather says that CD Lamb is going to get triple covered. I don't think there's any doubt that's going to happen. That's why the Cowboys gap. But I like what Candy said. They're going to be tanking anyway. So that's why I'm glad Xavier Streppel went up to Nashville. And the other comment that Pensman made, I'm glad Stanley finally got drafted. That took to go too long, but his interviews were awful and his dad influenced that. We'll spend more time on this subject next week, but it's certainly worth noting as well. So as we move on here, one of the more interesting picks in the draft happened to be Boise State edge rusher Ahmed Hassanen. His message to Dan Campbell: I will die on that field for you, Detroit Grit. Well, if anybody knows the game well enough, Ben, what are your thoughts about what Ahmed said?
I mean, he loved the game. I mean, I definitely give him that. But I mean, sometimes you want to make sure your head coach understands the type of mentality that you have. And, Dan Campbell has built a bully up there in Detroit. And so if I just got drafted, I'm letting them know, Coach, you can depend on me. Because the thing about these coaches, man, the thing about the National Football League, every day is an audition. Every day you are showing these coaches, whether it be position coaches, head coaches, hey, you can trust me to be in the show. So I love this young man's mentality. I love the fact that he's telling Dan Campbell to, look, man, I would die out there. We don't want you to do that, young man, but we do appreciate the mentality and the effort. And what can I say? This young man is coming in saying, I want to be a part of the first ever Super Bowl in Detroit. That's going to be crazy. So I love it, and I think sometimes, I was a young player at one time, and Jeff Fisher was the guy that was my head coach, and you always want your head coach to think glowingly. When they think of you, you want to think of a hard worker, a team-first guy, a guy that comes to work ready to work and to do whatever. I'm a teammate first. As my coach told me in college, man, make a list of everything you want to do and make sure I don't care what you do on the list, make sure you number 10. You satisfy 1 through 9 before you get to you. And this young man sounds like that. So, hey, Detroit, he sounds like a Detroit Lion already. So, shout out to the young man for coming in with the right mentality.
All right, you know what? Let's put this comment out, Gamecock Chuck. I recruited your brother Lucas to the Marines. I like that. Great stuff, Gamecock.
Yes, my brother. Yes, my brother. I was at Butler High School. We were the only ROTC that were Marine ROTC. Everything else was like Navy, Army, National Guard. My brother a year older than me. He went into ROTC and they told him you can get out. My brother got out. He didn't want to do it. I was in ROTC for 4 years, and when my brother graduated, he went into the Marines. So go figure. Didn't want to do it. Didn't want to do it when we was in high school, but ended up being a Marine almost 15 years. So certain people were built for certain things. I was definitely built to play sports. My brother was built to be a Marine because if the roles were reversed, I don't think I'm going to the Marines. I respect them, but I was not going to Paris Island, South Carolina, ladies and gentlemen. I was not going to stand on those yellow footsteps. So I respect every veteran, a man and woman, servicemen and women. That ain't me, people. I know my strengths, and I sure as hell know my weaknesses. And that one, I love my brother, but that was not going to be me. Trust and believe.
All right, Stephen. let's talk about Mr. Ahmed. What are your thoughts about the Lions pick there?
I mean, listen, sitting there saying that, that telling your coach Coach Campbell he's gonna die for him. Well, Coach Campbell gonna let you do it. I mean, you already seen how many players were injured over the last few years, and I mean that's not sitting there saying like Dane's putting his guys in danger or anything like that. It just means he has a certain style, certain guys that he likes, and when when he hears something like that, he's gonna okay, check. He's like, let's make sure he gets he gets his reps in. Let's see what this young man's about. I mean, it's one of these things where you want to have that coach that you can have this connection with and be able to feel like he's one of the guys. And Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions have completely changed the culture what goes down there in Detroit. So happy for the young man. Hopefully he stays healthy and things of that nature, because Detroit was nipped with the injury bug last year, and I hope it's not a repeat performance. I want to see them healthy, because I want to play the best, and I don't want a team that's watered down by they're playing their second or third string guy. Listen, I'm a real fan. Like, I mean, there's fans like, oh yeah, we don't have to, no. I want them at their best. I don't want no excuses. I don't want sitting there, oh well, this person. No. We beat everyone at their best, or we don't beat them at all.
All right, Candy.
As a Green Bay Packer fan, we all know, but I want to see the Lions do well. Like Steve says, I don't want there to be any excuses. I want to beat you. If we can't beat you, then you're gonna beat us. Hey, you got it. That's why we play the game. You never know who's gonna win. I love the culture that Dan has changed in Detroit. I love the camaraderie that I've seen, the loyalty that I've seen with the guys in that locker room, the way they talk about how he coaches, and kudos to being drafted into a good culture like that, because there are some cultures I would not want to be. Like, I would not want to be drafted in the Dallas Cowboy organization. I just wouldn't. But would I want to be drafted in the Lions as an NFC North? Sure. Yes.
So anytime you got a coach that's talking about kneecap biting, and then you got a player who says, I'm going to die for you, if that isn't a match made in Detroit, then you tell me what it is. I don't know. Kneecap biting, a guy that wants to die for you. You got Dan Campbell, and all you have the word is salivating. And yes, Brad Holmes, you're a genius. What can I say? So that's what you've got there in Detroit. I'm sure you've got a bunch of other players that have the same philosophy. Well, you have no choice but to talk about a guy in a show like this and say, I'm going to die for a coach, which is why and we're going to talk about Lions transactions and other ones over the next few weeks. Mark my word, as I continue to bring more people here. I wanted to take care of a lot of the basic things this week, because we're far from over when we're talking about the NFL draft. So I repeat myself: kneecap biting and players that die for you equal Detroit Lions grit. And that isn't a story problem, my people. I wouldn't know a darn story problem for any, because I was bad at math, and I'm glad I didn't have Candy's dad as my teacher. He'd have failed me, but at least I told him when we got together, I got your daughter, so you can't fail me, so you better be nice to me. And all he tells me when I'm studying for the state exam, you should be in one of those study rooms with duct tape over your mouth so you don't even talk. Well, I guess it does make things a little hard. You won't lose your voice doing it that way, but we laughed about that all the way. So, I was passing, and I did, by the way, pass that state exam. Albeit, what did it do for me? Not, I think, because I'm back in the media anyways. But I'd be like this: have duct tape over your mouth so you can't talk and be quiet. Anybody heard that one before? Rest in peace.
You ever have one of them mamas that do
I'm about to say.
Huh?
My mama probably wanted to do that, but she probably think that I probably would have told my grandparents on her. She probably thought of it. But we're gonna tell on her. So
yeah, well, let me tell you something. My father-in-law wasn't afraid to speak his mind. Rest in peace, Fred Evelyn. You're the best father-in-law, son-in-law I could ever have. And I've dedicated 9 million shows. What's another one to you, Fred? God love you. And you have a Rolls Royce for daughter. And in the eyes of Ben Troop, that's Miss Candy. Really? Seriously, really? I had to get off that off my chest. Had to do it. Don't apologize for anything, by the way. All right, well, let's talk about the sleeper in this draft. And that goes to the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Cam Miller of the North Dakota State Bison, who won 2 FCS national titles. We all talk about Shedeur Sanders, but think about it. This kid won 2 FCS titles. He went to the same school that Trey Lance played for and had a heck of a career. So, Ben, what are your thoughts about Mr. Cam Miller?
I think that's why we watch the draft, right? We get so caught up in the big names. I mean, we know about Cam Ward, we know about Shedeur, we know about Dylan Gabriel. I mean, but a guy like Cam Miller, it can end up being a gem because it's all about the fit. It's not about where you get drafted, it's not where you get drafted, but is it a good fit to where you go? And I was happy when he came off the board. I think sometimes when I get to watching the draft, sometimes I forget. It's either college football or it's not. I don't care if it's FBS, FCS, NAIA, Division II, Division III, HBCU, Ivy League. You either can play or you can't. And the young man can play. And he made the most of the opportunity at the school as he was at. So I'm looking forward to seeing him develop because everybody wants to talk about gems, right? The biggest gem we've seen in the draft the last 5 years is Brock Purdy. He was Mr. Irrelevant. He's already been to he's already been to a Super Bowl. He's getting ready to re-sign. He might be the 10th best player on his team in San Francisco, but he did go to a super duper. And now he's getting ready to re-sign. So Cam Miller, I'm rooting for you, young man. I'm happy because we think that the best players come from the biggest schools. No, the best players get more opportunities at the biggest schools. That don't make them better players than players we ain't seen. But he went to a really, really good spot. He's going to get a chance to learn. He's going to get a chance to grow. And I think whenever he gets his shot to get in there, I think he's going to do the most with it. So shout out to Cam Miller. I'm happy for him. I just think he is why we really watch the draft. It's not about who everybody knows. Listen, if you go to Colorado, Florida, LSU, Miami, of course people know who you are. Right? When you go to these FCS schools and we watching these guys on ESPN2, ESPN3, their games come on at 9 o'clock at night, when you're getting ready to go to bed for some of us, that doesn't mean they ain't playing really, really good football. So I'm happy for Cam Miller. Listen, everybody wants to talk about Cam Ward. What if Cam Miller ends up being the best quarterback coming out of this draft? We'll see. Got to take time, but that's usually how it goes.
Yeah, you know what? You are so right. Ever heard of Walter Payton, Jerry Rice? They didn't play at a Power 4 school, did they? Right?
I mean, Scott, some of you guys said earlier, check this out. People talk about the best undrafted free agent. You know who I think the best undrafted free agent is? His name is Wes Welker. You remember him? He went undrafted in 2004. How did his career end up turning out? I'm just saying, just because they don't get drafted don't mean they in a gym. I'm just saying.
Well, he hits another bullseye. Every time this guy talks, hey, Cyberowski, you know what's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. Every time Ben talks, he hits a bullseye. Bingo. All right, bobblehead, Reichel, go ahead. You're nodding your head. Now you can put your head there and start talking because this guy is awesome. And I gotta love that.
I'll just say it like this. I hope he has a better career than the last quarterback that was drafted out of that school in Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz started off real hot, then got hurt and then became a head case. And now he's bounced around from team to team to team to team to team to team. He's now watched the Eagles won 2 Super Bowls from the sideline.
But he's still in the NFL.
Huh?
He's still in the NFL, though.
What roster is he on today? Is he on a roster today?
Oh, maybe not.
He got you there, yeah. Candy.
I mean, last I checked, the season was over.
Wait. This guy's as wired as I am. You got so many Energizer bunnies on this show. It's ridiculous. You got Ben with bullseye. You got this Energizer bunny that has a Philadelphia Phillies cap on. You have me who's just living up to my name, Motor City Madmouth. I think I even have a domain name for the name that Candy pinned on me, crazyman.com. I don't know if I do or not, but it's there. But no, you have a bullseye there.
With all that being said, let's hope that he's developed right there in Las Vegas. He's got Geno Smith sitting there. I'm sure Mr. Tom Brady's gonna have a few things to put in his ear. So I would say he's in one of those positions where he has no pressure on him right now. No one's overhyping him or anything like that. He doesn't got Mel Kiper with his pom-poms, doing his thing. He's got the opportunity to just sit in, soak everything in, and unless Geno Smith gets hurt, he can just carry a clipboard and pick Geno's brain over the next year. So I like the situation that he's in. I hope that he's one of these guys that proves all these pundits wrong, and that he when he gets his opportunity that he plays like a madman. So let's see what it holds. Good for Vegas for grabbing another quarterback there. We knew that. Me and Ben talked about this on a show. We thought that might have been a spot we could have seen somebody like a Shedeur in, just because of the high profile city. That them already having a guy like Geno, where you could have someone like Shedeur bringing along, but they, obviously a lot of teams felt differently about that. But going to get this kid, he's in a win-win situation, in my opinion.
Well, let's face the facts. Okay, he plays for a good offensive coach like Pete Carroll, and he's got Chip Kelly in there, so that should help him out. All right, Candy, we'll turn it over to you.
He led them, North Dakota State, to a national title in 2024, throwing for 3,251 yards, 33 touchdowns with just 4 picks. He also has wheels that he had a whopping 48 rushing touchdowns to his credit as well. 6'1", 215 pounds. Is he a starter in the NFL today? No. But will he be? Yes. I think with the right coaching, you'll see him succeed. And like you said, Ben, the NFL draft wasn't just stories like your Cam Ward. We all know who was going. It's your other stories. It's your heartbreaking stories. The story about the kid whose mom passed away after he told her that he got drafted. It's stories like that make it real and make it interesting, and that's why they had the viewership that they did. And Scott, you tell me when you're ready for those stats too. So,
well, as a matter of fact, great minds think alike. So go ahead, Rolls, and give me the Royce of stats.
So the 2025 NFL Draft in Green Bay was seen by an average audience of 7.5 million viewers across ESPN, ABC, NFL Network, ESPN2, ESPN Deportes, and digital channels for the 3-day event, making it the second most watched draft on record, behind only 2020, which was COVID year. It was up 27% viewership versus last year. All 7 rounds. Round 1 averaged 13.6 million viewers, up 11% from last year, and the second most day 1 on record. Coverages of rounds 2 and 3 on Friday averaged 7.5 million viewers, up 48% from last year. Saturday's coverage, rounds 4 through 7, averaged 4.3 million, up 43% from last year. And over the 3 days, more than 600,000 fans attended the 2025 NFL Draft in Green Bay, matching Nashville's record in 2019 for the second highest attendance in draft history. Everybody said, oh, Green Bay can't handle it. It's not going to be good. We're not going to compare it to Detroit. We don't need to compare it to Detroit. We don't need to compare attendance figures. That doesn't necessarily make it good. It's not the most fans that see it. It's, did everybody enjoy themselves? Did we see it on, how watched was it? I thought it was cool, and I have to say, for those of you that don't know the tradition, I loved how it started. I loved that Commissioner rode out on a bicycle. And for those of you that don't know, going back over 50 years, there is a tradition in Green Bay where kids line up before practice, before training camp, and the players will take from the locker room down to the training facilities. They'll ride the kids' bikes. And that's been happening for over 50 years. So I thought it was cool that they honored that tradition and showed that tradition to start the draft. So
normally I don't take a parting shot on the show because we're really loaded with information, but I'm going to take one tonight. My parting shot.
A part shot to that. Hold on a second. It was a great draft. Don't get me wrong, but the fact that the fans were charging people who were going to the parking over $100 to go park in their driveway is disgusting.
Okay.
Disgusting. Are you serious? I saw one sign it was $160 to park here. Like what? So all that great thing, but I like if I'm a consumer going, like I'm someone going from outside of Green Bay driving in there, and I'm seeing that, I'm running those signs over. $160 for
You didn't have
parking.
to park there.
Hey, Steven, we got to get one thing straight here. If you're going to take a comment like that, you need to get it right. It's either really, seriously, or really, or seriously, really, seriously. I'm going to make sure I quiz you on that next week, Steven. I'm telling you, great take, but you got to get it right.
I
I
got it
already
right.
sent you a book. I might have to send you a hat so I can drill it in that head. You don't have to put a tattoo on it. But if you're going to say that, which is a great cotton picking fact, do it my way.
Find the
If I'm
name.
the professor and you're the pupil, you're going to sit there. Say it now.
Know your
Either-
worth, Eddie. Just know your worth. That's price gouging at its best.
So here, I'm
But they
putting
could
you
have
on the.
taken a free shuttle, and they chose they wanted to park real close. Now, you have to, the one thing you guys don't understand, this draft, Lambeau Field is in the middle of a neighborhood. It's not in the middle of a big city. There's only, the whole population is 107,000. Detroit is 600,000. So, yes, did they get a primo dollar? Is $160 a lot to park for a day? Absolutely. But you have a choice to park right there or take a shuttle in from a little bit further out that was free. You made the call. You
Okay.
make the call. You don't say anything about, hey, I'm going to go to a concert and I'm going to pay $100, $200 for. So you paid $160 to park and you got into the draft for free. So you got to watch the draft so it really cost you $160. But if you go to any one of these entertainers and you're going to pay how much to sit at a concert, you're going to pay at least that plus parking. So yes, was it a lot to park your
Parking's
car?
$40 here in Philadelphia.
All right. So here, from the professor to the pupil, repeat after me. Okay. You're going to memorize this. I swear. God, I love that hair. That he gets to see me grill this guy. Of course, you guys get to do it on your own. So, Steven, repeat after me. Ready? Really? Seriously? Really?
No, I can't do it.
What? Seriously? Really? Seriously? Can't you? Well,
What's going on with this nonsense?
What's going on is, well, he doesn't have to repeat after me all the time, but at least he knows where my mind is at.
I know where you're at, brother.
All right, so here's my parting shot now that I can get it in. My parting shot is to the Detroit Free Press. How on earth do you even think you could compare 770,000 people versus 600,000 for a smaller town like Candy Illustrated? Really? Seriously? Really? I'll say it myself. I don't care if anybody does it. Detroit Free Press, get it right, man. We all know Detroit's way bigger than Green Bay. And guess what? They're both
We don't need a map for that either.
What's that?
I said, and we don't need a map for that either.
Exactly. I mean, just because Cam Ward wanted to get out of there right away because it was cold, he didn't know what to do out of there. Sure, if I'm going to Tennessee, it's a whole lot better. And after all, he was looking forward to going there and how quickly his tone changed when his blood thinned out and he was up there. So, yeah, I know Cam took the first ride out of there. But I'm going to tell you right now, Detroit Free Press, you got it wrong. Tell me something that we didn't already know, that Detroit was going to outdraw Green Bay. It's like a heavyweight fighting a bantamweight in terms of population. That's why I'm taking a parting shot at the Detroit Free Press. And guess what? I'm not applying for a job there anyway, so I don't fucking care. I'm going to echo a line, okay, that I once had an interview with Fred Clare. You ever heard of Fred Clare, the former Dodgers general manager that led him to a couple titles? I had him on my show. Great shot, Motor City Madmouth. Oh, you can ask me anything, because you know what? It won't matter. I'm getting up there in age anyways, and I don't care what anybody's got to say at my age. So, you know, at my age, I don't care. You like me, you don't. Just subscribe to my channel so you can see me get obnoxious. And maybe one of these days I'll get into the marketing business. I'll have my own ringtone here to wake you up out of bed. And you know what I'm going to do when I do that? Because I have my marketing team set up in place. We got Steven there. I'm going to make sure that Ben is right there with me and Candy. I'm going to put on that alarm tape. Really? Seriously? Really? Get up. Or seriously? Really? Seriously? Get up. If that doesn't get you up, I don't know what will. Now, I'm going to say another thing now that I'm on a real rant, okay, which is really cool. I go to my neurologist. We all know my head's all messed up anyway, but To me, my head is like spaghetti noodles these days. But that's okay. I have no problem with that. But I got a beautiful nurse here that says to me, she subscribed to my YouTube channel because she loves when she's having a bad day. She listens to our shows, loves every one of them. You guys do. And I'll be seeing her, by the way, on Saturday because I'm going to have to get some
Friday.
Friday, whatever. I lose track of days when you're being pinned up in a house all day because you can't drive because of a bad thumb, among other things. And she says, every time you come in my office, I always glad you're the last appointment because I'm having a rough day, and all of a sudden you spit out one-liners faster than John Morant can go out there and do stupid gestures like a gun pointing thing. That's another story. But the reality of the situation is this, okay? Detroit, free press. Nobody cares what you have to say. Don't tell me the obvious because I may be dumb at math, but I'm not dumb enough to realize that Detroit is way bigger. And I mean way bigger than Green Bay. You ever been to Green Bay? Go there. It's an unbelievable town. And you're going to get really impressed by the history. And Bradley Walker, another one of my big guys on Twitter. I love you, my man. I'm glad that you're able to tune in tonight. So did I get everything off my chest? Did Candy get all her stats out? I know it's a planned topic, but when you got the Rolls Royce coming up, digging up facts to enhance the show, that's good. And in the eyes of Ben Troop, Miss Candy. Beautiful stuff. A couple more things to talk about. We're going to revisit a trade. Chicago Bears, Carolina Panthers. Chicago received Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Darnell Wright, Torrey Taylor, Tyreek Stevenson, Luther Bundin III. Guess what Carolina gets? Bryce Young. And at least to Carolina's credit, they got him some weapons. So what are your thoughts about how this trade panned out long term, Ben?
I mean, hopefully it's gonna pan out better for the Chicago Bears when you look at everything they got. But I think that if Bryce Young ends up becoming a better player than Caleb Williams, with both of them being number one overall, both of them winning the Heisman, one coming from USC, previously Oklahoma, and the other one coming from Alabama. I mean, Carolina gonna think they got the better of this trade. I know that Ben Johnson has done a lot for a guy like Caleb Williams to be able to add in some weapons. From getting the first tight end in the draft, which was shocking. Colston, coming out of Michigan, going over Tyler Warren. We'll see. Whenever you get a bunch of picks from one guy, you hope that the picks that you got, outweigh the one guy. But if Bryce Young, like I said, ends up winning the NFC South, which he's going to have a shot, with the guys they added with Ted McMillan and Adam Thielen and Xavier Legette, they get Musa Muhammad's son and Jimmy Horn Jr. and Hunter Renfrow. They got a shot to be really, really good in the NFC South, and nobody's afraid of the Tampa Bay Bucks. No one cares that Derek Carr is talking about he's going to prove people wrong with the the Saints. And then I don't know what's going to happen with Michael Penix Jr. and my Falcons. We'll see. But right now, Chicago's looking good, but Chicago got to play Green Bay, can't beat them. Chicago got to play Detroit, can't beat them. And they got to play Minnesota, can't beat them. So we'll see. But it's not good. It's not going to pan out in year two for Caleb Williams in year 3 for Bryce Young, but Bryce Young is in the driver's seat of winning the NFC South last time I checked at this point.
All right, Steven, go ahead.
I mean, I've already put my foot on this. Ben already knows that, I felt that the offseason moves and things of that nature, I felt it puts puts the Bears in an opportunity to potentially vie for a potential wild card spot, things of that nature. I still think we're going to have both of your wild card teams out of that North Division there. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But it all depends on what the new culture and system that the new head coach is going to bring in. You put weapons around that kid. You put an offensive line around him now to keep him upright, so he's not running around for his life. So we'll have to see. But at the end of the day, unless the Carolina Panthers have Bryce Young take another large leap forward, then without a doubt, when we're revisiting it, that I still think just because of the capital that comes back to the Bears, that yes, that they won that one.
All right, Candy.
One of the things I've said is when you have a young quarterback, that the hardest thing is to keep changing systems all the time. New offensive coordinators, new coaches, that plays a toll on the development of a new quarterback. With that being said, Ben Johnson has done some really good things in Detroit, and now how will that translate to Chicago will be interesting. It's a tough division. Chicago plays in a tough division. You know, Detroit has been Green Bay's had Chicago's number for a number of years. It's the oldest rivalry in the NFL.
Right.
And yes, Green Bay's had for a number of years have had a stranglehold over Chicago. Can they overcome that hump and get over that and really compete in the NFC? They can. It depends. When you have, like I said, when you have a lot of new players, new coaches, and everything like that, how well they gel together and how well they work together will determine that. Green Bay found out in the beginning when Jordan started that he didn't know, they didn't have timing down. Even the last years of Aaron, when he had a lot of new young receivers, he didn't know the timing of them. How part of it was he didn't play in the preseason much as well, but how fast they were when they were getting bumped from defenses. And so how well Caleb does will be interesting. Carolina, on the other hand, they haven't been good for I don't know how long either, though. Like I mean, I hate to say it, and I'm sorry, Jen, because I know that's your team, but
maybe that's why she was wise enough to stay off the show.
This is Cam. Cam was her favorite, so
Yeah.
but, you know, I'll be completely honest. But like Steven said, I think because Chicago got so much of a haul for that, they'll outdo Carolina in that trade. But it still needs to be seen.
Well, let's not forget, I mentioned at the top of the show, Jacoby George of the Miami Hurricanes is going to be there. I know he's going to help them out too, another undrafted free agent. How many times have we mentioned the fact that Ben mentioned some of your best players come as undrafted free agents? Well, my goodness, these guys are hungry.
Now, Ben dropped Wes Welker. Why do we not talk about Jason Peters? Why do we not talk about
why? Because you're doing it now. Go ahead. Now you ask.
Why don't we not talk about
Steven, you doing it though. And what do Jason Peters and Wes Welker have in common? They was both undrafted in that 2004 draft. Both of them.
I know we had to bring it back to that.
So what? I don't care. This is a draft. This is a post-draft show. Why don't you bring it up? I'm glad you did.
Listen,
really? Seriously, really? Good stuff. Great stuff. One of my favorite lines. You brought it up. Why don't we bring them up? Leave it to my right-hand man. Bring them up. Seriously, really? Seriously, I had to flip the script this time. Yeah, I love talking with my hands. I talk about everything anyway. And
I still think I
haven't had caffeine in about 3 hours. Can you imagine what'll happen later? I'm glad we have a very comical show. You know what, though? Something interesting that really came up. How about the fact that Matt Golden, first wide receiver drafted since 2002 in the first round, gets picked by the hometown Green Bay Packers? Candy, we're going to start off with you. What are your thoughts about how that one worked out?
I said the Packers did something that Aaron Rodgers wanted them to do for years and years. He wanted them to draft wide receivers, and we didn't. We're a young team, and drafting another young wide receiver is still young, but they're building for the future. You know, we moved on from Aaron Rodgers. We didn't keep him. He moved on. We drafted young. He wasn't happy that we did that. But let's face it, and most people, players have a shelf life. You have a shelf, and your shelf life, you might think is different than what GMs think and stuff like that. Golden brings another dimension because our wide receiver core has in the last year had a problem staying healthy. Christian Watson has gone down numerous times. Romeo Doubs, I mean, you name it, they've been injured. Do I wish we had a little more of a veteran presence in the wide receiver room? Yes. Does Green Bay normally do that? normally we don't go out and sign a lot of free agents. Now last year we did. We got Josh Jones. We have done it in the past for the right player. But I was happy that they went out and got. But I also think that they need some more protection on the offensive line because Jordan Love also needs time, and he needs blockers up front that'll move the defense so that our running backs can run through. So, but he also needs time to be able to throw and find his receivers and let his receivers break free. So.
Well, all I'll say about what you said, Josh Jacobs, the biggest steal I've ever seen in free agency. Another thing, I have a fashion style. You're gonna find me in those suits. Every time I had a tie, it was always a clip on. Anyways, I'm on a tie those stupid things. The only thing I know about it is when you went to Arizona. If you ever went to a place called Pinnacle Peaks, if you ever get in there with a tie, they're gonna take their scissors and take it off and hang it to the top of the place. So, one of my cousins back there, who was a student. University of Arizona, took me there. So what are you doing? Don't wear ties. I don't even know where. I don't have one. Good, because when you see this place, you'll know where they end up. I call it the tie graveyard, and I still don't like the darn things. Only when I really have to do it, and I do everything I can to get a tie. But the guy had a heck of a suit. I will tell you that, and I'm not a style guy. But no suit. Or what do they have that saying? No suit for you. Well, guess what? No suit for me. All right. With that said, we'll turn it over to Ben T. What are your thoughts about the Golden Man dealing with some new temperature changes?
I mean, I like the fit. I mean, I think that I think that Candy said a lot of great things when you talk about Green Bay and how they've gone a long time. I mean, for Javon Walker, 2002, the last time you had a first round pick, that's a long time. I mean, I got a chance to play with Javon Walker when he went from Green Bay to the then Oakland Raiders. I mean, his best years was obviously in Green Bay, but you can't coach speed. And that's what Golden has. I mean, 4.39. I mean, if you can't find a way to utilize that young man, you're in the wrong business. But they telling Jordan Love, look, man, we understand you want offensive line help, but I mean, people come to see touchdowns. They come to see long touchdowns, either from a running back or from the quarterback. And we giving you a young guy that you can definitely take the top off of. And I mean, somewhere, it's a little bit of a stab to Aaron Rodgers, who kept asking for a first-round receiver. But you had Jordy Nelson. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you had Jennings. I mean, you had Devontae Adams. You had plenty of guys. They were first round caliber talent. They just didn't get drafted in the first round. But I think when you look at what sells tickets is offense. And Jordan Love is instant offense. If he can stay healthy if he did it with those receivers last year who couldn't run 4.3s, and you add a young guy coming from Texas that can run a 4.3, with the running game that they have, they're trying to tell the rest of this division, we respect Detroit. We respect Chicago. We respect Minnesota. We don't like none of y'all. We coming for every last one of y'all. Because listen, it's weird when the NFC North is won by Detroit. It's weird when they competing in Minnesota. I mean, Jordan Love. People ask, hey man, I'm looking for Jordan Love's house in Green Bay. He plays for Green Bay. He has real estate in Chicago. Until proven otherwise, he has real estate in Chicago until Chicago has something to say about it. But I love the pick. I love when they got him. I love why they got him. Now the young man got to go out there, and outside of, it's cold, but they don't call it the frozen tundra for nothing. Good Lord, it gets cold in Green Bay, and they don't. I don't think they allow the receivers to even wear sleeves. You just go out there like it's a regular game. It's not going to warm you up anyway. But I like the pick. I like how you can use a player like that. And Jordan Love, dare I say, man, he gets another weapon.
Okay, Steven.
Isn't Antonio Freeman the last one to wear sleeves in Green Bay?
Yeah, but ain't nobody gonna say nothing to Antonio. I mean, Antonio Freeman, I mean, that's football royalty in Green. Ain't nobody, I mean, who gonna say something to Antonio? The football royalty in Green Bay is Donald Driver, Antonio Freeman, and congratulations, Sterling Sharp finally made it into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations to that man.
Absolutely. Score points with Candy, you just did.
But love the pick. Glad that the Shannon Sharp like scandal didn't hurt his draft status, because he was being set up for some type of sex scandal before the draft. It didn't affect it. It's one of those things where you see people trying to get a money grab at these kids, and that stuff me and Ben talk about putting some of these young men, putting knowledge in their hands, and put them in the right circles, keep them away for some of these nonsense situations. Some of these young men wound up in. So yeah, good thing for the Green Bay faithful as they got a guy that can fly. They got them somebody who can stretch the field that's making sure that they don't have one of these predictable offenses and things of that nature. So couldn't be happier for him. You're coming from Texas to Green Bay. He's definitely going to have to adjust to the weather a little bit. But I mean, real football players, it doesn't matter a lot. As a lot of people know, like when you talk to some of these players that they want to play in the snow, a lot of these guys when Madden first coming out, they're putting the snow on the game so they can play in the snow. If not, especially if they live in an area where you don't typically see it. So, love the pick. Helps round out that offense for Green Bay. You just got to hope that Jordan Love kind of gets his swagger back and not getting as nicked up as he did last year. Hopefully he stays upright and plays 16, 18 games, something of that nature.
Well, I'll say this: Shannon Sharp, Sterling Sharp, they're both great receivers. And the fact of the matter is that this kid actually thought he probably showed up over there because he thought he was going to be a top 10, 15 pick. And many had him going to the Cowboys. I don't think in his wildest dreams he thought he was going to be at Green Bay. But you want to talk about a late first round situation that worked out. This one ideally did. Now you're actually wearing that green suit. You're squeezing. You're breaking Roger Goodell's back, although he gets it broken once a year every time he goes to the draft. But what a great moment for Matthew Golden to be waiting toward the end of that first round, only to be drafted there. If Cam Ward wants to know anything about the frozen tundra, he better go back to the past and talk to Bart Starr, and then he'll realize how cold it really is. Because on that particular day, that wasn't the frozen tundra, that was the real frozen tundra, is really what it turned out to be. So it was a great moment. I think it was a great hometown moment for a lot of people, and to see them. I love the way the owner, CEO, Mike Murphy, whatever his title is, says, for the first time since 2002, little jab, by the way, Aaron Rodgers, okay, we're taking a wide receiver. Oh, my good. Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers must be salivating from a distance. So, of course, I'm out here to take singing lessons because I'm trying to remember who sings that song. I'll forget about it. I'm not going in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame anyway. So, although, is that, who's that now? Now you got me to think about it. From a distance. Who is that woman that sings it? Anybody know? Oh, well, I'll probably figure it out later. That's something that maybe somebody in the chat room can dig it up from a distance. Oh, whatever. God, now I'm really going crazy over the crazy one-liner. Nevertheless, it was a great moment for Green Bay. A couple more topics I want to get to. We're going back to the Sanders, but this one, Shiloh. I had a mother named Shiloh, but we're talking about Shiloh Sanders.
You really don't know who sang From a Distance, really?
I'm just messing with you. Who is it?
It's Bette Midler.
There you go. That's why.
From Beaches.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just messing with you. I just want to keep everybody on their toes here. Bette Midler. Of course, I think my favorite song, Did You Ever Know You're My Hero, is always one of my favorite songs. But great stuff. Now I don't have to worry about leaving it out there because my co-host, Steven Reichel, star of Professor to People, brings up Bette Midler, who also starred in Ruthless People, which sometimes the evil in the media are ruthless people like us on such me. You guys are nice people. Anyways, did I get all that out? Let's talk about Shiloh Sanders. Gets undrafted after he fired his dad, Dion. Boy, I'll tell you, he's not fired Dion and as agent, signs with Drew Rosenhaus. He lands Tampa Bay Buccaneers in an hour. Steven, you got first dibs on this bad boy. What do you think?
I mean, it's clear that the people around the NFL were sending a message to the Sanders family. Listen, I've already said it. I mean, depends. Like, a lot of people are, oh, this is racism. Well, how do you call it racism when, I think, we had 8 of the first 15 picks were African American men. So right. You can miss me with that. I know Stephen A. Smith and all these other guys are blowing their lids over this. When it all comes down to it, Dion played a hand, and you know, it got blown back at him, and it got blown back at him hard. Things that were said like, "Hey, you know, I know where I don't want my son to play." Well, that took you off of a lot of guys' draft boards, and it really hurt Shedeur. And I think his son was also getting other backlash. What I really loved about him, he was so excited for his brother. He did not care what was going on with him. That's something that also has to be brought out. Like, he didn't say anything about himself. I mean, obviously, you know, when the day ended and, you know, they weren't getting phone calls and things of that nature, it absolutely had to do with things that were said, things that were done, and not having an actual agent who has actual connections to the GMs, to the owners, and things of that nature. Luckily, he wound up in a spot down there in Tampa with Todd Bowles, and I think he's going to be in a good situation there to potentially make that team, regardless of, you know, he's a special teamer or if he's, you know, contributing into that Tampa Bay Buccaneers secondary. But it's you have to look at what's in front of you, and without a doubt, there's no one that can tell me any different that there are people in the NFL that made an example of the Sanders family this weekend.
What's your take, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, I agree a lot with what Steve said. I think sometimes when you get to talking about the entire Sanders situation, it's easy to jump to the gun and say, you know, what you think it is. But, I mean, Deion Sanders has a lot of power. The only problem is his power stops when Colorado ends. That's where it stops at. And I think that he overplayed it. I think that he thought that, you know, Shedeur had more leverage than he did, and he didn't. I mean, when I first saw the fact that Shiloh had Deion being his agent, like, for what? Like, why would you do that? Like, I get Deion Sanders' cachet. I get his aura. I get his star power. I get his charisma. He's not an agent. If I go to NFLPA.com, Deion Sanders is not an approved agent. Deion Sanders has never represented himself. So why would you let him represent you? Because that's your dad. And the whole thing about the Shedeur situation was this. You don't got to say everything you feel. You don't got to say everything you think out loud. There are things that we say in the privacy of our homes that we don't say to our bosses. We don't say to the supervisors. I want to put the best foot forward because I want to get drafted as high as I possibly can. If I'm walking in the meeting room saying, well, listen, man, I'm not going to be there anyways, man, so it's not even going to work. And they're looking at you like, what? What you mean you're not going to be there? Because Mel Kiper said you're not going to be there? Yeah. Mel Kiper is the draft analyst. He is not a GM. He is not an owner. He is not a decision maker, right? I think everybody can learn something from this. Until you have the job, you don't have the job. So you got to get it first. And I think what happens is you can't come into it. Doesn't matter how I see myself. I tell people this all the time. I said, listen, I love my children. The world ain't gonna look at them that way. So what I tell my daughters and my son is not a reflection of what the world gonna say. Deion thought that the world saw Shedeur how he saw Shedeur. No. And Shedeur can play. I'm not saying he can't play, but everybody can play. You can take all 250-something players that just got drafted, and you can get rid of them, and we can have a whole nother draft. We can do it again. You know how many people come out for the draft? They should give a camera to every player coming out who didn't get drafted. They'll go down. It's over 3,000 players. So you telling me Shedeur all of a sudden is God's gift to quarterbacking? It doesn't exist. I don't care. And don't compare the Eli situation to the Sanders situation, because the whole world knew that Eli was going first. The whole world knew, and all he said was, I don't want to play for the Chargers. So guess what? They knew that the Giants had the 4th overall pick, and they knew that Phillip Rivers out of North Carolina State was going to go for it. They was going to switch. I was in that draft. And I knew these things were coming. So it's Deion Sanders a part of the royal family in the NFL? No, he is not. That would be the Mannings, right? That would be guys, like the Watts, who's already went out there and did it. So I get it. I think the NFL doesn't care about humbling you. The NFL cares about this. You're going to do what the NFL says do, or you won't be here. And that's any player. I think Shedeur is going to be fine. I just think that when you have leverage, you got to know how to play it. I do think they had leverage, but Deion's going on all these talk shows saying, I don't want my son to play for this team. You want your son to be drafted. I wouldn't care if it was an expansion team. Right. I want my son to go as high as he can, and because of my dad, who's already solidified, you said, hey, man, I don't want to play. So I guarantee you one of those teams wasn't Cleveland. I guarantee you one of those teams you didn't want to go to was Cleveland until it was. And then it's
Well,
like,
not-
hey, we in the NFL. So I do agree with you though, Stephen. Everybody needs a brother like Shiloh. Everybody needs a brother who says, dang, let me be here for my younger brother who I know got to save face on camera, right? That's the kind of brother you need. And like I said, the greatest thing Shiloh did was tell his daddy, sorry, daddy, you can't represent me. Why? Because what are you going to say? Hey, is this the ownership? Is this the Glacier family for the Tampa Bay? This is Deion Sanders. What's up, Deion? Hey, I don't know who Deion talked to. And if Deion call your phone, if you a GM, you thinking, hey, man, Shadur plays for Cleveland. No, I'm calling about Shiloh. Why? Because I'm his agent. No, you're not. You see, Deion Sanders not an agent. So it all worked out for everybody involved. I do think the Sanders family is still going to be, could definitely end up being a beacon of light for the NFL. But I'm going to say this. Mason, what's his name? Mason Taylor, the son of Jason Taylor, he got drafted second round to the Jets. I mean, a bunch of people, you know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. But he handled it the right way. Jason Taylor, outside of being there for his son when he got drafted, is not all in the videos. He ain't trying to be a part of everything. And Jason Taylor was the first ballot Hall of Famer too. How good was Jason Taylor? He was an excellent. First ballot Hall of Famer, Jason Taylor's son, just got drafted to the Jets, Jets, which they really the Mets. I mean, the Jets and the Mets are really the same. It just one play baseball, one play football. Anyway, I'm just saying it is. It's just so I just think that for me, Shadur did handle it the right way when he got drafted. But when people say, hey, Ben, if you can't be humble, what should you be? Fake it. If you cannot be humble to get a job, you better learn how to fake it. Because guess what? If I'm trying to hire you and you walking up in there, people say Shadur Sanders and GMs and owners, they're equals. No, they're not. Where y'all get that from? They're equals. No, they're not. You want me to hire you. I know you want my brand. You want me to buy your brand. What is it about your brand that can help my brand? Arrogance can't help my brand. Humility can. Being a teammate can. So I'm not saying Shadur Sanders was arrogant. I'm saying they say confidence and conceited. You need to live in the middle. I think Shadur might have swayed a little bit to the left, and GMs don't like that. Ben, how do you know? I went through the recruiting process. I went through it, and I'm telling you, I did more about interview prep than I did the 40. I did more interviews than I've ever done in my life because the last thing I want a GM or owner to think is I've already arrived. I'm there already. I just need a team. No. And I'm not saying that's what Shadur did, but whatever he did, it didn't work. I'm just telling you, it didn't work. So, hey.
Well, so guess what? Okay. Now you really struck a chord here with this one. But then again, it doesn't take much to strike a chord with me anyways. So we're going to talk about the Sanders situation very simply and easy. Once upon a time, Deion Sanders said, you're going to have to put me on layaway, right? That's what he thought. He's going to get a lot of money, but a lot of money. But you know what? There's a scenario with his kids. You bought them at the dollar store. That's all I'm saying. You bought them at the dollar store. And you know what? Shiloh's come out smelling like a rose because there's another thing about Rosenhaus, pun intended, by the way. Not only is he an agent, but he's also a sports guy to me on local television. So as far as I'm concerned, Drew Rosenhaus is a genius. All right, Candy, you get to soak it all in. Unbelievable, Ben. You just amaze me with the stuff you come up with. Go ahead, Candy. I wouldn't even dare to top that. I had to get my dollar store analogy in. That's what I had to do.
Ben, I love some of the things you said. You do not have the job. So don't have arrogance before you have the job. You don't have the job. You get your foot in a door and then you can flex. Then you can use your leverage. Prove once you have your foot in the door, once you're in one of the NFL teams, prove that you deserve to be there and prove to the other teams that they missed out on you, or maybe that they're going to come out and they're going to come get you because you're proving yourself. You're not an NFL player until you have that contract. You did not have that contract. You didn't have anything. Kudos to his brother for standing up for him and letting him have the spotlight, the shining and everything like that. Kudos to getting your own agent then who was working for you. Your dad was working, let's face it, he's had how many interviews about his brother? Dion talked about his brother, not about Shiloh, not about. So kudos for getting out there, getting someone that other players have an agent and the same agent and a good agent. Because your agent works for you, not for the family, not for the name, but for you. And that's what you needed. This day and age that people think that they're entitled because they have a name or they're entitled because they're up and coming. No. You earn things. And that's one of the things I don't like about this generation, and not just football, all over the place. You see it. You earn your job. You come to an interview. You show up. You dress to impress. You don't dress however you want. You're coming to a professional job interview. You dress professionally because you want that job. You want them to look at you like that. You don't come in ripped jeans and stuff. And I'm not saying that they did that, but I'm just saying this generation that thinks that we should be handing them everything because they're entitled to it, because, oh, well, I should get it because I graduated from, I'm done with college now. The next step is a job in the NFL. So give me one. And now let me pick. Oh, wait a minute. No. That's not how it works. But kudos to him for sticking up for his brother. That's what I like about the whole thing. Knowing that he grew up how he did, in the house that he did, with the name that he did. Kudos for going out and getting your own.
Agent and firing your dad, period. That's all you have to say about it, right? Period. So let's go. All I'm going to say is this. Cam Newton went into Jerry Richardson's office and said, hey, I want to show you my resume. What the heck does that tell you? That shows the guy cares about his job. It really does. Cam Newton, I mean, he dressed whatever he wanted, all marketing. He's a pretty smart cat, it's okay. But he walked in there trying to impress his owner. I want to show you my resume. What is this guy walking in there? Like he's Bozo the Clown? Oopsie the Clown? Because that's what he looked like in both those situations to me. All right, so let's go to the chat room because Eddie Prather is also on fire. I'm going to put a couple of good ones up here. You guys sign if you want. You don't tell teams where you're going. No doubt about that. And I'll tell you what he really thinks about Eddie.
Mel is a fool. I mean,
he
talks about that the NFL doesn't have the the quarterback production process. How many ones have Mel Kiper gotten right? Didn't he call Jamarcus Russell John Elway?
No. Listen. Mel Kiper's been around for almost 40 years. It's the same Mel Kiper that said if Jimmy Clausen out of Tennessee doesn't become a quarterback for Carolina, one of the faces of the league, he'll stop doing draft analysis. Well, he lies because he's still here. No, this is an ego thing. Mel Kiper thinks, hey man, I'm Mel Kiper. They making me look like I'm inadequate at what I do. No, sometimes you just get it wrong. Because guess what? At the quarterback position, no one wants to talk about. Out of all other positions, the quarterback position is the only position the GM got to like you. People got to like you. No other position people got to do that. Because not only can you be the face of that team, you could be the face of the league.
Right.
People got to like you. And I know fair or unfair, right, wrong, indifferent. People are saying, hey, Ben, at the end of the day, people say, Ben, it sounds like it ain't fair what happened to Shedeur Sanders. Fair is a place where they judge pigs and animals. This is the NFL. Fair? No. If my son, who we have the same name, is getting ready for the draft, and he says, Daddy, do I walk in like I own the place? No. You walk in like you want to have a place in the league. You show it's not about putting on a front. It's showing, hey, Mr. Richardson is a good example too, Scott. Remember Cam Newton when he first came into the league? Clean cut. No, he didn't have long hair then, right? He didn't wear the big hats. Well, he did wear the big hats then, but he was clean cut. And people thought that when Mr. Richardson asked in the camp, you got any tattoos? Do you got any earrings? Do you keep yourself clean cut? And people said, that's not right. Yes, it is. Because Cam, I'm gonna listen, your name was on the right side of the check, my name was on the left side, and it's a freaking stamp. Like
Right.
I pay you and like 100 other people. So since I'm gonna be paying you the biggest check, I don't want the biggest problem coming from you. You gonna be a problem? No. What did Cam do? MVP, took them to the Super Bowl. They didn't win it. So when people say, "Hey man, if you want to become a household name, that owner who you talking to, he owns the team that you're gonna play for. And if you coming in thinking, hey man, we equals, no, we not. Shador, yes. How you doing, young man? I'm good. How you doing, Mr. Jones? How you doing, Mr. I agree with you, Candy. At the end of the day, what does it matter? You got all this information this generation if you don't know how to decipher. You don't know what to do with it. I got information at my fingertips. So I hope you ain't driving down the street and your tire blow out, because who gonna change it? Google can't do that. Siri can't do that. You got to do that, and you don't even know who to call. So I just think it's a sign of the times. I love Shador, but when Shador looks back on this, he gonna tell somebody else, "Don't do what I did." Why? Because if I didn't want to be an NFL star, why did I play football? I want my own legacy. I'm prime time son, but I want my own legacy. And right now, I'm fighting to make it in the league because a 5th-round pick might not be on the roster in 2025. I'm telling y'all, you go 5th round, he might have just played his last down of football. People say, ain't no way. What? Jason White played for the Oklahoma Sooners, who won the national championship in 1999, and he won the Heisman. And he spent one month in the NFL. He went to the Titans and retired. National champion Heisman Trophy win. I'm telling y'all, I love Shador, but sometimes we celebrating you just cause you ain't done nothing. You ain't done nothing wrong. But like my granddad would say, son, you ain't did nothing wrong. Yeah, but that don't mean you did nothing right either. I'm just saying you ain't did nothing wrong, but that don't mean you did nothing right. We got to find a way to be better with these situations. If Shiloh was Shador and Shador was Shiloh, Shiloh goes higher. I'm telling you, Shiloh ain't going in the 5th round. He's probably going 2nd, 3rd round. So we'll see what happens, man. But I just think that don't make a mockery of this league, because this league is the best league there is. And you ain't the first player going to come through with a Hall of Fame daddy. You ain't the last. But I guarantee you, if you had to do it all over again, you're going to take your daddy's advice, but you're going to say, Daddy, you've already done this, though. Yeah. You were going to be the 4th overall pick. Yeah. I just want to be picked in a place that I think I deserve. But listen, man, the only thing you deserve in this life, man, is getting older, in a brown box. Everything else is negotiable. I don't know what you deserve in this life. It just bothers me because too many people came to Shador's aid. And everybody was like, it's racism, it's placism. It's the league. It's the league. And the league don't need Shador. It don't need Shiloh. It didn't need me. It didn't need Deion. It didn't need Tom Brady. If none of us ever played, it would still be the greatest game there is. And that's the cold hard facts, people. It don't need none of us. We became who we became because the league gave us a chance to be known and be seen. And Miss Candy, you said it right. I got kids in this generation, and I love them to death. But I told them, they said, Daddy, what makes you different? I grew up without Google and Siri. I had a calculator. Listen, I didn't need social media. I had real friends, not fake followers. I'm just telling you, it's just a different time that we live in. Just different.
Well, it sure is. And I'm going to tell you this right now, because you said it right. Well, number one, Eddie Prather says Mel is basically Skip Bayless. Had to leave that up there. I'm just going to put these comments up. You don't have to comment because I got some good stories here. Okay, number one, Mel Sniper wasn't good enough equipment manager for his high school. So that's good. Hey, listen, this Eddie Prather is one of our best people out there. This guy comes up, he shows up and tells it like it is. I love putting his comments up. One of these days, Eddie, I'm going to bring you on the show and you can mingle with us, because this guy comes on the show every week. If you ever want to invite, come on.
I'm also bringing this point up too. The Toronto Argonauts kind of put a thing out there. So if Shador doesn't make it in the NFL, they get first crack at him.
You know what? I was thinking about that, so I'm glad you brought it up. Good. Now I don't have to bring it up next week. Thanks. That's one less screenshot I have to save because of you. Okay. So if Sanders comes to training camp with an self-entitled attitude, he might not make it to the preseason. All right. Now I have a couple stories I have to say, because all Ben did was set me up for him to begin with. Number one, okay. I learned a valuable lesson. I've been learning it with my smartphone. If you ever say serious near your smartphone, your Siri is going to go off. Just remember, seriously, really? And what do you think is going to happen? My smartphone is so smart, it's going to go off and think, boom, that's going to go off. I'm going to tell you. And number two, I have to make a confession. Back in the day when I was in grade school, I tried to use a calculator. I knew it wasn't smart enough. It was a $40 Texas Instrument calculator. And what do you think happened? My teacher confiscated it. $40, man, back in early 70s was a lot of money. I'll never forget Cunningham Drugstore. I bought the place. But you know how smart this teacher was? I was looking at my football cards. You know what happened? She took them all and gave back me in the air. But you know how smart this woman was? She kept Alex Karras and said, I thought I had Alex Karras. No, you didn't. Oh, yes, I did. You just stole it. Seriously, really, seriously? I'm telling you, this stuff is, I'm not smart enough to make this stuff up. It happened. Never makes it in my book, but it makes it on these shows. All right. Great stuff, everybody. I'll tell you, this Fearsome Foursome is unbelievable. Eventually bring other people on. But this is our coming out party tonight here on Inside the Pigskin. And the Motor City Mad Mouth has a little bit of juice left in this voice here for at least one more topic anyways. And we're going to the nation's capital for this one. Washington Commanders are building a new stadium at the old RFK Stadium site. And I'm going to tell you, I saw a couple of games at RFK and unbelievable. And the Lions, unfortunately, lost to the Redskins. And incidentally, Josh Harris, the owner, is not bringing the Redskins name back. But I hear that's going to be a palace. It's going to run between, I would say, right around close to $3.7 billion, $4 billion, somewhere around there. It'll be a lot of money. So what are your thoughts, Ben, about the Commanders returning to the nation's capital? And incidentally, as I mentioned, that when that does happen, I estimate the stadium will be up around 2030. They'll have all four major sports teams in the district. Go ahead, Ben. You lead off this one.
I mean, as the person that got a chance to play in FedEx Field, I mean, FedEx Field was like a freaking college stadium. It was so freaking big. I mean, the fact they finna have a new stadium. I mean, listen, I think it's going to be a beautiful stadium. Problem is, outside of some regular season games, they ain't going to have nothing to show for it. I mean, I just think that right now, when you think about this division as a whole, Philadelphia is here to stay for a long time. And I like Jaden Daniels. I do. I think the young man can play. But people talk about dysfunction, right? And there are a lot of dysfunctional organizations. Outside of a one-year outlier, Washington is one of those dysfunctional organizations. They have been dysfunctional for a long time. But, hey, I like the fact that new stadiums are going up. I mean, the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta ain't been up that long. I mean, I know the Titans down there in Nashville, they got a dome coming. I mean, now Washington trying to get one. I mean, I know it's going to be beautiful. You know it's going to be beautiful. But, you know, when people are always talking about these crazy economies, where they get 3-point-something million, billion to make a freaking stadium from. But, hey, worse things have happened. I want to see it. I do want to see it. But, I mean, I wonder if they're doing these type of things. Is it going to be a dome?
Actually, that one is going to be a dome. Yes.
Okay, so they're trying to be a Super Bowl site. I get what they're really doing. Yep. I get it. Listen, that's what happens. If you're a team like Washington or a team like the Titans, you're not going to play in a Super Bowl, but you can host a Super Bowl. That's what's going to happen. They're not going to play in one. They're going to host one. I'm going to be there when Nashville hosts one, and I was there in 2019 for the draft. I haven't seen that many people in Nashville ever in my life, and I was drafted there. But, yeah, shout out to Washington, just like Nashville. Hey, man, sometimes, good things happen in nice cities outside, but your team won't be there. Your team ain't playing one. I'm just saying it ain't happening. But it should be a nice stadium. I'm pretty sure it's going to be nice.
I've been in the one in Maryland when it was new, but you could thank Daniel Snyder for what actually happened to it. But ever since they got Josh Harrison there, they're coming back pretty quickly. All right, Steven.
I mean, Ben, we already kind of loosely touched on this last night. Ben already kind of put some of the stuff out there that we had already kind of spoken about. But Ben's right though. The Redskins, the Commanders, the Washington football team, whatever you want to talk it, they've been a dysfunctional organization for well over a decade, and Eddie thinks Josh Harris is going to give them stability. Go look at the Philadelphia 76ers and tell me what kind of stability he's given that team. I mean, really, seriously, really. There you go.
Oh, look at this. He did it. I'm proud of you, brother. I just can get it out.
Listen,
he did it on his own.
I love Josh Harris. He's a passionate guy. He wants his teams to win, but to sit there and think that ownership is going to bring stability is nonsense. It's foolhardy talk. However you want to spin that. He's been here in Philadelphia for more than 10 years. They haven't gotten past the second round in the playoffs. The process is absolutely failed. We're going to get into that next week as well. But I mean, he did draft Embiid, but he hasn't helped them either. He's brought in three general managers that were absolutely terrible. They've ran through head coaches like they were nobody. Made Nick Nurse look like a freaking high school coach. Didn't know what he was doing. They're not going to have stability with that front office. The stadium is going to be beautiful. Let's say that right now. I heard it's a dome. I heard it's going to be a glass dome on top of that, so that should be interesting. So. The other thing is, me and you already talked about this last night, is it's not just about bringing a Super Bowl there. I heard they want to bring the Olympics in. I heard, they're going to be doing big concerts. You'll probably have WrestleMania or something like that coming there as well. So, and now that they're going to have a site like that, the NFL draft, other things like that, they're going to be having fun with the old RFK site whenever it gets fully built and put together. That I'd say the Washington football fan base has something to excited about on that end. But as everything else goes, they have Josh Daniels. They literally traded away or let go a good portion of their defense that was good. They drafted Chase Young. Well, he's been to two different teams since then. He's been to San Francisco, and now he signed an extension down in New Orleans. Josh Allen, where did he go? Oh, he's now in Minnesota. So a lot of the things that they had that made them good, or at least had something to smile about, is gone. The only thing they got is Josh Daniels. That was on what type of schedule? Oh, it was a bottom basement schedule. Now they're going to have a playoff schedule. They're not going to be being surprised by people. So you can say what you want. I agree with the fact that it's been 1 year. Let's relax with putting them in those consistent playoff contender talks. But as far as the stadium goes, if I'm a Washington fan, I'm happy, especially for the fans that are over the age of 35, because that's bringing back some lineage to them where they can really feel reconnected back to this football team.
Well, like I said all along, I think here's my feeling: if you're going to tear down a stadium, especially an older one with tradition, and you have the ability to replace it with something else, you do it. That area's proven that it's a stadium site in the first place. And I'll say one thing about the people in Georgia, though. I hated to see the Georgia Dome come down, but obviously they built that other one. But to their credit, though, what they did with Turner Field, they kept that stadium and turned it into Georgia State. So if you're going to sit here and tear a stadium down, you do it and repurpose it for somebody else. Same holds true in Dallas and Arlington. Texas Rangers played over at that one stadium. What do you think they did? They put a United Football League franchise there and reconfigured it. You use these things, you paid a lot of money for them. You mean to tell me you can't figure anything else what to do with it? Heck, you know what? Even the Oakland Alameda Coliseum getting cricket, and I don't even know anything about that sport. And if you sat there and tried to teach me cricket, you stand a better chance to get a dead person to come on this show, because I wouldn't even know how to even play that game. And I'm not probably attracting any cricket fans on this show, but the Oakland Alameda Coliseum is getting cricket. The only thing I ever heard about crickets are the ones that walk around the house and make noise. And now that. So if you're going to use the stadium, repurpose it. Look at it. So then I can do it too, just like you. You're a hit, man, brother. But I'll tell you, when them one-liners come out, oh, I love my neurologist and that nurse. She's unbelievable. She gives it to me. Everything she gives it to me good. Let's not go give it to this fan base. Keep subscribing, people. We got a lot more activity coming up all the way around. I'm telling you. I got the professor and the pupil here. I got the Cadillac of football players. No, I'm not talking about Cadillac Williams. I'm talking about Cadillac Troop. Okay. You have to give you a car name here. And, don't get me started on Cadillac Williams. That'll be for another show. I don't want to hit the 2-hour mark. Otherwise, it'll be in deep trouble, especially with Candy Ebling on deck, which we can go ahead and give her the final word on this particular Commanders project. Go ahead, Candy. I'm not losing my voice, but I'm giving it to you.
So the Commanders are returning to D.C. after nearly 3 decades away, thanks to a new proposal to build a 65,000-seat stadium on the current RFK Stadium site. And if organizers get their way, It's not just American football that we played at the new venue, with officials also eyeing professional soccer. Those behind the project have proposed professional soccer, specifically women's soccer, as one of the more than 200 annual events they hope to stage there year-round because the stadium will be roofed. Officials have expressed ambitions to pursue major tournaments such as the Super Bowl, NCAA basketball Final Four, and Women's World Cup, which the U.S. is likely to co-host in 2031. So there's a lot of other ones that they're trying to get. Kudos to them. I mean, I know that's going back to your history is always good, but obviously these stadiums need to be renovated. They need to be upgraded. They need, and we all think of it from the fan side of it as a stadium. But Ben, I'm sure you can attest to this, that not only should we be thinking from the fan side, but the players side. What does the locker room have? What does the training rooms have in these? What kind of facilities do they have for medical facilities in case somebody gets injured and hurt? Like all of that technology has boomed and grown exponentially. So some of these stadiums have to keep up with that as well. And we forget, like everybody's on Wi-Fi now, like internet is different. Like back in the day, you didn't have internet. So all these stadiums have to make the experience good for everybody, players, coaches, fans. You need to upgrade these stadiums too. As much as none of us might want it, a lot of people object to paying for it because they're like, well, we're not profiting from it. But if you think about it, if you live around a stadium, Stephen, you just said the Green Bay people that live around the stadium exploited people that came to the draft. They got $160 for someone to park on their lawn. Well, who knows if parking on their lawn, now they have to replace the lawn. But I'm just saying, you do profit if you live around stadiums because there are tax dollars. People come in to the stadium. They eat around the stadium. Your tax dollars are less because of some of the taxation that you get, the revenue that you get from the city. So kudos to the Washington Commanders for this new proposed stadium.
Yeah, I'm glad they're getting a stadium there. And like everybody's alluded to just moments ago, they'll be able to use it for a lot of different things. And I don't think there's any better site out there to do it in DC area than there. And they'll have all four teams. With that said, Stephen, do you have any final words on it before we wrap it up tonight? Anything else you want to add? Stephen?
Hey, listen, just thoughts and prayers to our friend Luther. He was supposed to be on tonight. Son was playing, got his bell rung pretty good. So, but we'll be talking with Luther tomorrow. Me and Ben, and that was a trio we were trying to put together about 6 months ago. So. We're going to get that to fruition. Listen, make sure you guys are tuning in, locking into to all the content we're doing. We're going to have some more fun interviews this weekend. I'm going to have a few more of the combat sports athlete. And then we are going to have a special episode of the Fan in the End this Sunday. And we're going to be bringing in my mind, what should at some point in time be a former Hall of Famer linebacker's son.
Well, hopefully we'll get Luther on this show. I know obviously it didn't work out tonight. Next up, we're going to go to our final station break. Then Stephen and Ben will have an opportunity to let everybody know. So, what a great show tonight. I'll tell you, 4 of us on here tonight. We covered a lot of ground. If you think this show was loaded, Ben and Stephen, I got plenty more loaded. And we got a lot of things done in this show that I probably had in line next week. Great job. Maybe things worked out well. There was just 4 of us tonight. We got to see all the stars shine, and that's Ben, Stephen, and Candy. Me, well, call me whatever you want. I've heard it anyway. So but turn it over to the Rolls Royce here, and then we'll let the Cadillac go. Let everybody know I get all that too. Go ahead, Candy.
South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Mad Mouth. Lots of stories to tell as he tells them on the broadcast here, there's also more stories in the book. So go get your copy of the book. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. It's also a link on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcast. If you see that red subscribe button, click it, like us, share us with all your friends and family. Monday nights, we talk baseball. Tuesday nights, we talk football. Wednesday nights on Sports Exchange, you just never know what we're talking about. We're talking a little hockey tomorrow, though, I think. And then Thursday night on Fire Up, tune in to find out what we're talking about. I'm not even going to give you a clue, so tune in to find out. If you want to advertise, call Scott 954-304-4941, or if you want to sponsor a show. If you want to be a guest or have show ideas or topic ideas, there's something, that we didn't cover that you want us to cover, please email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. I just want to say thanks to everybody that's been in commenting in the chat. We love all those comments. Keep them coming.
And Eddie Prather, obviously, you're unbelievable tonight. One of these days, it'd be cool if we ever had you on here interacting with us. So it's really going to be great if Eddie does. Otherwise, he's a star in the chat room. With that said, all right, Mr. Cadillac Troop, go ahead and let everybody know how they get a hold of you, and let them know where you got that hat.
Hey, listen, I mean, you can always follow me on all social media outlets that being Troop 84. My hat come from a place called Two Roads Hat Company. Holla at me in Two Roads, man. I'm not the reason why you guys are in business, but I mean, I spend a lot of money with you guys. I would love to be an ambassador. And this band that I'm holding right here, if you can see, this is for National Autism Month. As a person that as a guy that has children who deal with autism and friends that have children who deal with autism and people who I know deal with it, make sure you be kind, make sure you be patient and understand that they're just doing the best they can. And as a person who has a deal, who's blessed to have, children and people who I know have it, they are some of the most beautiful people on this earth, because all they are doing is being loving. All they're doing is being themselves. I mean, we are one day away from ending National Autism Month. And even though I'm wearing the band for it, just make sure, man, that we do our part with it. I mean, as a person who, like I said, I'm blessed to be able to have a child that has it. And, like I said, man, it has helped me become hopefully a better husband, a better father, a better listener, a better supporter. Just be supportive of these people, man. There's nothing wrong with them. They are some of the best people walking this planet. I'm telling you, get to know them. But hey, man, I always appreciate coming on. This gives me a chance to be who I am and what I am. I get to have fun. And my mama told me a long time ago, she said, boy, you better hope they have jobs that you get to run your mouth. Well, mama, I'm proving you right, because I'm doing it right now. So hey, let's do it.
And you're doing it really well. I look forward to this show right now, because, Ben, you bring an element to this show like it's never had before. And I'm proud of you. You do well. All right, SR, my partner and professor and the people, give it to me.
Listen, guys, make sure you're giving us all a follow. Make sure you're checking me out. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X. The X handle's right down there, right under my name, Steve Sports Talk 1. You can type my name there in on YouTube and find me there, regardless if it's Stephen Rochelle or the Sports Talk 1 there. Again, we're having fun here on the South Tribune Media Network here, and we're gonna make sure we keep it growing. Like as I was telling Scott last night, just hit 200K views on the YouTube channel, so we're looking to kind of keep things moving, keep things going. It's been fun so far, and it's only going to get better again. Like between the content we all produce, the interviews we're bringing in, and the articles that everyone's writing here on the network, supporting everyone regardless if it's me, Ben, Scott, Candy, Pensman, anyone who pops in on here and supports what we're doing. So make sure you guys are like, subscribe, share. Let your friends know, let your mama know, let your grandmama know, your knuckleheaded cousin. Let everyone know that this is where all the fun sports talk is nowadays, and don't miss it out.
All I can tell you is your show last night, Professor and People, was much better watch-wise versus our first one, and it only figures to get better. When I got great material to work with, like you,
Me and Ben
Ben,
talk about this all the time. It's consistency. You stay on your time. You keep doing it out. More people tune in, regardless. When the season changed and we're going up against like the beginning of pro football and all that other stuff. listen, it's it's all about for the people who actually truly do support you and tune in.
Great stuff. I'll leave you with that last word. Well, your professor of people is on the rise. And Candy, why don't you let everybody know about what you do with the girls? I think you certainly deserve the opportunity, and then we'll call it a night.
Tuesday night, 7:30, the Chicks podcast. We do shows, basically 3 chicks in a pod. They added me as the 4th chick, so we switched it to Chicks and Salsa. But you can catch us on the Chicks podcast Tuesday nights at 7:30 Eastern. There you go, Scott.
That does it for us. We have a lot more NFL draft content next week. We gave you a lot tonight. If you missed it, don't feel too bad. Just get your notepad out there and take some notes, and we're going to give you a lot more to write down. If you get writer's cramp, I don't know how accurate ChatGPT is to write it for you. Don't worry about it. Just hit the rewind button. Everybody's happy they can hear us more than one time. And if you ever need me for an alarm clock one day, I'll go to my marketing department and use what I said earlier in the broadcast. Don't know how you timestamp where it was, but I'll say, really? Seriously? Really? Get up! Now you know it's at the end of the show. So we'll have to get my marketing people up there so I have an alarm clock after me. So you don't have to timestamp anymore. With that said, I want to thank everybody for joining us. On behalf of Steve Reichel, Van Troop, Cadillac Troop, got to give you a new nickname, my brother, and the Rolls Royce, Miss Candy. This is Scott Morgan, Automotive City Madmouse, saying thank you for joining us. See you next Tuesday night. Have a great week. We got a lot more to feed you. Good night, everybody. And thanks, everybody in the chat room.